Speaking of reliability, a podcast with good friends talking with you about reliability engineering topics. Welcome to Speaking of Reliability. This is Fred Schenkelberg.
And this is Chris Jackson, and we are talking now about how we can best message some of the key parts of reliability engineering, especially for people who are just doing this for the first time. It's always a challenge trying to work out what needs to be said and what's the best way of saying it.
Well, we started talking about that, and I said, I just got a question this morning on a brand new person that just signed up with Ascendo and created an account, and they said, "This is great. Where do I start?" And we've got articles, we got webinars, we've got podcasts, and everything from reliability statistics to risk management and dozens of other topics all over the map. We've got a lot of I think we have somewhere close to 3,600 articles or blog posts, for another word for it, and over close to 2,800 podcast episodes published on the site, and we're really close to 200 hours of webinars, or 200 webinars. I think we're at 200 hours already. But the question was, where do I start? And part of it, when I first started the site, or when the site first got started, it was really around articles and blog posts, and then it's gotten to videos and all kinds of other topics. But the media, the way content gets provided, it changes all the time, and we see it in social media. There's way more short videos type stuff. And I know Nancy Reagan, she routinely I think it's just the cell phone she's got on a stick or in her hand, and she records a topic, and it's usually 2-3 minutes, usually about reliability-centered maintenance, which is her field and area, but she defines a topic or explains a concept or stuff like that. But this question I got was, where do I start? Is, like Chris, most of the times we get a question and was like, well, what's the context? What decision are you trying to make? What are you trying to do? So my response was, well, what are you interested in? What are you trying to learn? And I in talking to you before we hit record, is like, well, how do you like to learn? What format works for you? Do you want a long form course, or do you want a short book? I don't know how to advise you in that realm.
Well, I think, there's the problem with where people will say, where do I start? Who are saying, where do I start? Is, the first reaction might be something along the lines of, well, what is it you're trying to do? What problem you're trying to solve? And their response to that might be, I don't know. I just know it's not good, or something like that.
Yeah. My boss said I'm the new reliability. No, we did a survey a number of years ago. It's like, well, who is the audience that's visiting the site? And majority of people were relatively new to reliability engineering. Their boss tapped them on the shoulder and said, "You're it," or "I'm interested in it," or "I want to get started in it." And some of the audience is engineering managers trying to figure out how to incorporate reliability into their program. Others are experienced people trying to keep up with the field and refresh their knowledge in different areas. But it's a pretty wide spectrum. And so the answer is, where to start? Well, where are you? Where are you in your knowledge of this stuff? And it goes back to the question you and I ask all the time. Well, what are you trying to do? What decision are you trying to address?
Well, and I mean, I think what we're learning right now is, back in the olden days, where you learned stuff by going and sitting in a hall or a lecture theatre with a professor with interesting body odor, poor social skills, and flowing gowns.
Or a consultant in a hotel.
No, I'm going old school. I mean, like way back when.
Way back when, yeah.
But I'd actually argue that universities have changed, not in many ways, not for the better. From what I see, the instructional techniques of years gone by was much more important in terms of academic progression as an academic it's themselves, the professors and the lecturers. I think there's a lot smaller emphasis on being able to teach well today, but that's just an aside. Regardless, I think what we're learning today is that there's always going to be a place for those 1 minute videos. You look at TikTok or YouTube or
Or
Instagram, you have those.
Just Google in general. It's like, what's the formula for this? Or what's this concept? What does fracas stand for? You just Google
Well,
it and, you get a quick answer or a quick video and you're done. You're off.
but for that guy who doesn't know what they don't know, then they don't know that the fracas is something you can Google.
Yeah.
And I mean, my son in particular, he's 13 years old, loves cooking steaks, and so the reason why he got into it is because those little short videos which showed like very carefully edited steps of cooking the perfect steak. You see salt sprinkle, pan, sear, this, that, the other. And it actually sells a really good message. You can say, oh, okay, you can walk away from that little short video, 30 seconds, 60 seconds, and have a pretty good understanding of the steps involved with cooking a steak. And then you can make a decision of, you know what, I'm going to try that or not.
Yeah.
And he got a pass to make it for
And
Christmas.
it includes the visual of what does it look like in these various stages, I imagine.
Right. But I'd argue that that's important for reliability engineers of all career ages, because it's just not possible if your main focus is to make a reliable product and be a reliability engineer behind making that reliable product. You tend to have to focus on many of the issues as they present themselves to you, which can mean that with new or emerging approaches become available, you might not be aware of them. And so those little 1 minute explainer videos, those little 1 minute shorts, I think are really, really important. In fact, I'm trying to do that myself, and I'm trying to get a list of topics about what would be great little 1 minute explainer videos. And I'd also point out that even seasoned so-called reliability engineers who can spell MTBF actually don't know what it is. So there's always a 1 minute video explaining what the MTBF is, the balance point of that ultimate histogram.
That's right.
Can
I'll
be very
license my
useful.
no MTBFs logo to you. You can use that if you like.
It's just,
But there's, what we were in our last episode, we talked about fracas and a 1 minute thing on it, emphasizing that it's a process where people do something to resolve it might be perfect. Or,
yeah,
doing data analysis. I mean, there's so many concepts. I'm just running a whole list. I mean, there's all the various methods and tools. Why is this important? Why would you use this? I could give you a list of 100 things that would need, probably only takes a minute. This is when you would probably want to use this tool, or would be the right approach to this situation. And you're brilliant that way. You could come up with a script around that and say, when would you do halt? Why would you do halt? What's the value of doing that? And it could take a minute. And part of it in that 1 minute with a clean message like how to make a steak, it could be the steps in a process, or it could be the pros and cons to a particular option and what other choices you might want to consider, or it could be based on different failure mechanisms. If you see this, here's the 6 things that is probably contributing to that to help with the root cause analysis. And I think every engineer, not just reliability engineers, needs to know the difference between a shear fracture and a stress and a propagation type fracture, for example. And just be aware of the various ways things can fail so that you could be conscious of them when you're designing something or troubleshooting something. There's all kinds of great pictures about corrosion. I like the electromigration myself. That's my personal favorite.
Yeah. The other thing too is it's also about maintaining motivation. So if you're routinely seeing cool 1 minute explainer videos about things, it just keeps your head in the game, if nothing else. And I think that's
Well,
also very important.
well, you did it in a webinar once. It was the
Which one?
um uh oh, the bulletproof, the allegedly bulletproof vest or the body armor, I think you called
Oh
it.
yeah, the bullet resistant vest made out of Xylon.
Right. And the animation of, well, what happens when the fibers are strong? This happens. And then what happens when they're have less strength because they're exposed to moisture? Um, it the animation you had on that only took a minute or less. Yet it was like, oh, okay. That's why we pay attention to the use case, the use
Right.
environments. You put this body armor on it in a hot environment, you are going to get it wet. Doesn't
Right.
matter if it's a desert.
Yeah, and it's always good to be reminded as well that seemingly robust systems in place and seemingly profitable organizations just do this stupid stuff day in, day out. And
Well,
as
you
a,
might want to watch it a little bit if you pick on somebody that has a big lawyer team. Um,
well, if
that
you pick
might be
on
a
Boeing right now, I don't think the lawyer team's going to be able to defend too much that we say.
no, no, no. You're adding a editorial critique. Is
Yeah,
the I thought about this after a couple of our conversations about Boeing. They're like, I haven't got the note yet. But the idea is that I think there's an angle or an approach to how do you help people step through the process of being, my boss said I'm the new reliability engineer, to they're very experienced and they're helping other people move along and they're mentoring other folks and in consistently improving the program and the organization, things like that, um, to being a master of the craft, so to speak. It's the part, and I think you hit it on the head earlier, is what do you do with people that don't know what they don't know? How do
mm-hmm.
you approach that? And making it very palatable and easy to consume, and it's quick and it has a visual element to it. That might be a great way to broach a great many subjects to get it to scratch the surface of it and say, hey, there's more to this. Um, you know, go see these articles, see this webinar, go, give us a call, listen to our podcast, whatever.
Absolutely. And you also don't want it to be intimidating as well. As soon as you say, well, where should you start? Enrolling in a postgraduate degree program at University A, B, or C is not the answer that's going to get a lot of traction. So I don't know. I'd love for our listeners to be able to, in the comments or even just reach out, say, if you could ask for a 1 minute explainer video today, what would that topic be? And maybe even better, if you could look back on your career to date and say, you know what, if I had a 1 minute explainer video 10 years ago about this topic, it would have been amazing. I'd love to hear those answers because then we could start maybe thinking about doing them. For me, it's 146 words on the
Yeah.
nose
Well,
of
can you do that? Like, I'm thinking of FMEA. There's two brand new courses on Ascendo now that are on the topic of FMEA. They're slightly different courses and different lengths and different depths of experience, but neither of them are just 146 words.
well, the course is you would expect the course not to be 146 words. I mean, the thing about for me is that if I was imagining what I'd do for a 60-second explainer video for a FMEA, is this here to find corrective actions to make things better. That's its main aim.
Yeah.
If your worksheet is a dog's breakfast, but that's okay because the discussion that was happening while this worksheet was not being properly put together, if the discussion was amazing and fantastic and people were going, that's awesome, I'm going to go do that, then the FMEA has been an outrageous success. Yeah.
I think that was closer to 200 words, but let's just slide on the first draft.
Oh no, I'm just talking about what the message would be.
Yeah,
And that's where, if you get 146 words, I have script editors working with me. It really is an art to get the language condensed and impactful.
yeah.
But I think too many people look at FMEAs and say, well, the product's a FMEA worksheet or,
No,
complying with the
it's not.
standard
Yeah,
or,
yeah, yeah. Or checking the box. and got to do it the way the customer wants it. Otherwise, they won't buy our product. It's like, well,
Mhm.
how about actually making a product your customers want to buy independent of whether you did an FMEA or not?
Right. Yeah. Have the symptom of your hard work is a good product as opposed to a PDF document.
Yep. Yeah. Or, oh, heaven forbid, spreadsheet.
Well, a lot of people turn spreadsheets into PDF documents. So
Oh, that's true. That's true. But I mean, there's a whole, I mean, I'm thinking of the reliability statistics type stuff. And you've often talked about the idea that confidence intervals are about you, not about the product. And but explaining what that is, what's the relevance of confidence intervals in the work we do, and when and why are they appropriate? Oh, I could come up with dozens and dozens. And well, give me a few minutes. I'll give you a couple hundred topics. But I think our listeners would be much better positioned to give
oh
us
yeah.
ones that make a difference to them, which would
Yeah,
probably
or
be a useful thing.
would have helped them helped make a much bigger difference when they were plowing through with not much help when they first started doing their reliability thing.
You do know that we just recently passed of this week when we were recording that they said the TikTok is either going to get banned or sold. So I wouldn't invest too much into the TikTok platform at the moment, but be that as it may, it's that structure or format I think that you're
Yeah,
looking at.
that
It
medium.
does that media makes a difference. I think LinkedIn can do it too. I think they've been
Mhm.
encouraging more video, short video type stuff.
YouTube Shorts are now, they're a distinct media category.
Well, they are. It's a pain though, because you can't embed them. I found some great ones on some reliability topics, and you can like it or you can share it, but you can't embed it. So, like
Oh,
Nancy Reagan uses YouTube videos for a lot of her content, but they're traditional YouTube videos and they're very short. Yet you can embed them so that you can find her stuff on Ascendo and you can see it right there and consume it right there. So if you're going to do something like this, Chris, keep the MP4 for me so I can put a whole series on the site and
yeah, I'll do that.
link to it. So if somebody's out there looking for FMEA, they can find your explainer video as the starting point. This is the key concept of it.
Let's not put all the pressure on me. Let's put the pressure on the listeners to come up with some great ideas. And again, not
Well,
just
you're on
what
the
helps them
phone with me,
today.
so I did. I talked, but you're right. We got to talk to our listeners. So as far as I can tell from the podcast analytics, which are vague at most, there's a couple thousand of you out there. And so if each of you present, 10 topics, that would be great. I'm sure there'd be some overlaps. Yet,
Mhm.
Chris, that has the potential to generate what, 100,000 or so topics for you with a few duplicates. So that might
Right,
get you started.
right.
All right, guys, if you guys and gals that are listening to the podcast, don't let me down. Send Chris, comment on this or send Chris directly. Don't send it to me, send it to Chris. Um, all your ideas and topics, or, maybe photocopy indexes of textbooks and send them to him. That'd be a good source of topics.
That's cheating. I will that will go straight to some trash bin.
Well, if they prioritize it,
Electronic.
they could highlight the ones that they like.
Well, that's different. Yeah, I mean, if they
They could
just
put a
say,
little effort into it. So,
yeah, I mean,
so
but all of the above is not does not count.
that's right. Um, but I think it'd be a combination of a really interesting survey. What topics would be worth getting in, a quick, short explainer video is probably the right term for it. What's the range of topics? What out of all the stuff we talk about on these shows and on the site? So it's wide open. It's quality, reliability, safety, risk, maintenance, um, product design versus asset management. That whole realm, what would you like to know more about or have explained in a concise, short way? Let's challenge Chris on this one. There we go. But you can drop off your comments and stuff over at accendoreliability.com/go/SOR, or you could find Chris, not me, on LinkedIn and the his about page to send him these comments. I'm just being facetious. You could send it to me too, because I have his address. I'll send it to him directly. Um, and I know I can come up with 100 easy in 20 minutes here.
Oh, you can come with 100, but I want some good ones.
Well, this is the brainstorm thing here, right? What would be useful? What could be useful?
Well, I think if people, even if someone submitted an idea, resubmitting it helps us, almost like a voting system. We have, all right, 35 people have said we'd like to 1 minute explain a video on what the MTBF actually is. You know what? There's a bit of traction here.
Yep.
Yeah, don't be afraid of doubling up, but
Okay.
yeah, over to you, blue leaders.
All right, cool. Well, we'll look for the onslaught or the flood of ideas and topics, and I think I'll also put it in the weekly newsletter. See if we can put it in a survey form. We try a couple different formats to get you some seeds of ideas here for this new project that you're undertaking.
Awesome.
Cool. All right. I'm looking forward to them.
Me too.
Okay. Well, thanks, Chris, for bringing it up. And I don't think we really answered the question of where do I start. I sent them a follow-up message to say, well, where are you? What are you interested in? What are you trying to do? So that might be a topic for future discussion is, starting from where they are, and then we can figure out what to do with that and help them out. But either way, looking forward to it. Good talking to you, Chris. We'll talk to you again soon.
Always a pleasure, Fred.
Thanks for listening to Speaking of Reliability. We invite you to join the conversation. If you have a question or a topic that you think we should discuss in a future show, please let us know. You can find a comment box below the episode show notes, or just leave a note as part of a review on iTunes.